Thanks, Jason. Now, that is a remarkable tool. Easy to configure, security baked in, and troubleshooting from anywhere. I'd say the future is here, not somewhere out in the future ahead. Thanks again, Jason. Now that we are diving deep into the cloud and multiple clouds are the norm, experts believe that it is critical to get the hybrid cloud experience right. And to tell you how you can do that, we have a panel of experts connecting in. Please welcome Mukund Sitaraman, Chief Growth Officer and Cloud Head for EMEA and APJI at Tech Mahindra; Basant Kamadke, the CTO of Ferns and Petals; Srimati Swami, VP and Head of Tech Services at Infosys BPM; and Prasad Dhumal, the VP of IT at DHL Express India. And moderating this discussion is Anjani Kumar, CIO at Strides Pharma. Let's connect across and listen in.
Good evening. Thank you, Aswin, for handing over this mic to me. And good to see the power-packed panel, which is wealth of knowledge across the industries, be it services industry, be it a startup, and be a very established industry like DHL. So cloud has been the talk of the town since 2012. And I will say in 2015, I was asked to present in a IDC forum what is the CIO view of cloud? And I still remember the narrative was, the questions were, is cloud safe for us? Is cloud for us? And today, the narrative has changed to be, what is the percentage of cloud implementation? Read either McKinsey paper, BCG, Gartner, all of them, they don't talk about whether cloud. They talk about 95%, 98%, 99%. Latest McKinsey paper says by 2024, 8 out of $10 on the IT hosting will be on the cloud. So that's the extent of cloud. Hybrid, multi-cloud is in every organization you talk of. So just to get the perspective, right, I will just first go to the lady, Srimati, and I will ask her, she's also handling BPM. Srimati, how you do a lot with the cloud in BPM and for the other clients as well as the services industry. What's your perspective? And how do you see multi-cloud doing the business process transformation? Apart from just the hosting, what's its role? If you could throw some light, that would be really great.
Thanks, Anjani, for this question. So first of all, let me tell you, in the business process management industry, cloud, at least about 2 to 3 years back, was considered as something really an insecure environment, and people will not be able to protect their information leakage, etc., etc. So it was really a kind of something which was not forthcoming, at least for the business process management industry, in terms of putting up anything on the cloud, be it a solution or it could be even hosting data on the cloud. But I must say that this business process transformation, which has really kicked in and has got accelerated in the last 2 years, has completely transformed this. And as you are all aware, business process transformation is all about radically changing the type of actions that we read really to meet a specific business goal. So transformation really helps any business to continuously develop an agile product and service to really manage the emerging challenges that we have today. So cloud here in this business process transformation life cycle really is securing, giving resilience, and also it's a simplified and most of the time definitely cost effective in terms of this offering to the client. And this becomes a real base requirement for any business transformation. In our case specifically, our services are really designed to keep the cloud, keeping the cloud architecture in mind. We are very clear about how we want to do it. So do we want it to do it as a combination of on-prem or off-prem? And this also provides an edge to the customer to create technical agility. So deciding on the final architecture of where it should be, how it should be, irrespective of how the solution is, whether it is an on-prem or off-prem, the customers are increasingly looking for leveraging the cloud native services which are already available, which come as a package, which is through AI and ML. And this is really enhancing our client experience. So I will take a simple example of the insurance industry. In the insurance industry, the policy admin systems are completely moved to the cloud. How does this help the customer? This really helps the customer to monitor and manage all the policy related activities directly, even when they are mobile or anywhere. And second, the user data, usually that is required for this in the insurance industry, is stored on-prem or within the region, so that this provides a kind of reassurance and also control to the client that we are able to meet all the security and regulatory requirements. So this is just a small example on the insurance industry. There are many such examples across industries, Anjali.
Thank you, Srimati. It's a very comprehensive, and what you said is it was perceived to be not secure. Today it is agile product, emerging challenges, cost. It is addressing emerging challenges, cost effective. Very good to hear. Now, Prasad is from logistic industry, and I used to work for logistic industry as a CIO. In 2015, I tried to bring AWS, and the discussion with my CFO was, he said, we spend a lot of money on warehouses, huge capital expenditure. Why do you even bother to go into this OPEX mode? And I had shown him some of the storage solution, which was at that time $11 per TB. And I said, even if you buy a hard drive, you can't match it. So that was in 2015. Today, I know most of the logistic company has come a long way. Prasad, you have been veteran in DHL, so you have seen all the traditional ones, and probably you have now seen the multi-cloud sprawl in the industry, right? So it would be good to hear your view of the transition of this industry, and what do you think of the future?
Yeah, thanks, Anjali. I think it's a really interesting question, and it will be nice to share my views onto it. As rightly said, possibly 5 years back, everybody was cloud averse, I would say, and security was one of the main concerns, and we were no different. For two reasons. One definitely was security, but also the predominant reason was, as you rightly said, we invested huge money into our global data centers, which you can say are like our own private clouds. And billions of dollars of investment had gone into it, and to suddenly change that model to a cloud model was not feasible and also not practical for a global company like us. So I think it had to be a thought through decision, and the apprehensions around security did not make it easy. So I would say it's a journey which we started evaluating about 5-6 years back, but is now gaining momentum in last 24 months. And obviously the pandemic situation has been an accelerator. But we are also looking at mix and match. We, as I said, because we have big global data centers, our own private cloud, so that's not going to go away in a hurry. So we have to look at combination of managing that, sweating the assets, and at the same time moving onto the newest technologies by leveraging on cloud. So what we are now doing is possibly a lot of our legacy systems, which are not easy to overhaul in a short term, will continue to remain on our private clouds in our global data centers. However, the new technologies which we are adopting, the new solutions which we are developing or sourcing are something which are moving on to cloud. And being a global organization, we cannot just rely on one provider. So we have multiple cloud providers, and depending upon which geography the requirement is, we decide on which particular cloud to use. So we have global tie-up with AWS and Azure, and all have been our good partners. So I think for us the way going forward is definitely cloud is future, but at the same time we also have to sweat our assets. And a lot of legacy system needs to be transformed, and which takes a lot of time for big organizations like us. So as and when we transform, we will transform to cloud. But until such time, I think we will continue to have hybrid plus multiple cloud environment, leveraging on our own cloud as much as possible, and any new development or new solutions, we will possibly look at SaaS-based models from one of the cloud providers. So I think that's what, after much deliberations, we thought is a way forward for us, and also gives us agility going forward rather than depending on one particular model.
Thank you, Prasad. Very pragmatic view. Many of us think just with a click of a button, we will go to cloud. But yeah, you've got to create the long-term strategy. And as you rightly said, you have to decide which ones goes to the cloud, which ones remains the on-prem, and then come up with hybrid strategy. Thank you so much. Now I have Mukund, who has worked in Wipro, recently joined Tech Mahindra, has globally implemented, and he mentioned before this that he had implemented cloud in developing, and the third category, I don't even know which one was that. So it would be interesting to hear from him what has been his their exposure to implement this cloud in the industries globally, and what kind of adoption changes, Mukund, you are seeing out there in terms of hybrid and multi-cloud strategy. Would be interesting to hear your views.
Thanks, Anjani. So the third category was nascent, where there is still education going on rather than actually adoption. And I would say there is no one size fits all in this journey. The markets, how they influence a particular industry, depending on where the industry is and where the clients are, really determines a lot of how they think about cloud. But for certain, what you started out to say, it is not about why cloud, it is about when cloud and how much cloud is definitely the direction which even Prasad nicely alluded to, when you have to transform at the same time, sweat the assets. But I would say the adoption, if you really ask me, in mature markets and also in developing markets, and I would definitely say whether it is Latin America, India, Middle East, and some of these markets have really sort of supercharged in the last 18 months thanks to the pandemic. So what conversations we are seeing at Tech Mahindra with clients in multiple industries, which one would have expected to happen maybe 2 years down the line, we are starting to see it happen right now. To such an extent, clients are asking, tell us in this industry, what can I do native to the cloud? Just like that example which Srimati mentioned in the insurance industry. So it really depends how much agility that they want to bring to the business. At the same time, I should be cognizant that the biggest impediment or the biggest roadblock today in most of these markets is simply talent. So it really matters on having the right roadmap, having the right skill sets to help design, implement, and constantly change. Because if you really ask me, hybrid cloud historically happened as an accident. Clients had to go to some parts of cloud. Obviously, what remained and sweating the assets, as Prasad said, really happened by accident. And what happened as a part of strategy is really the multi-cloud setup which has come in. And again, I would say that we are in the early stages of really how to leverage the best of this. And that's what we will see in the next 3 to 5 years. Although I would say the pace has been really fast over the last 24 months.
Thank you, Mukund. So hybrid cloud happened by mistake. Very interesting view. And, you brought a very pertinent point, which is the talent. And I still see, all of us see that there is a huge shortage of talent. And when it comes to hybrid cloud, a specialized cloud, more cloud providers are coming, cloud tools are changing at the fast pace. So I have kept if you look at cloud, even before we incorporate, I was in IBM and then various corporate IT, before we adopted, a sector which has championed this is cloud is a startup. And I have saved best for the last, and that's Vasant, who is the CTO for Fauns & Petal. Vasant, you guys are actually the truest cloud implementers. And that is, cloud is seen as a true accelerator for startups. As you have grown exponentially, what are the pattern changes on the cloud users you see? And how is it enabling you to scale up and go to the next level?
Thank you, Anjani. I'm glad that you mentioned that we are a startup because I believe Fauns & Petals truly is a startup in terms of the engineering and technology team. Though Fauns & Petals has been around for 25 years, we've done this 25th year of existence of Fauns & Petals as a retail, as a chain of floral gifting industry. However, as a technology team, we are pretty, I would say, nascent, 5-6 years. In fact, our journey started 5 years, 6 years back when I came into Fauns & Petals, and the idea was to build this platform that can run the entire business of Fauns & Petals in-house while it was being outsourced before that. So I think while we built that application, we were not cloud native at that point of time. Our cloud journey started in 2018, I would say. And for us, the major concern or we are more skeptical about performance rather than about security, because we had built our applications pretty secure in terms of encryption at rest, and we were more worried about the performance of the application at scale. So our journey started with that. It took almost 4 to 5 months for us to do all our POCs, metrics, and ensure that our retail customers, people who end up accessing our applications from really diverse set of networking areas, they would be able to get their the optimal experience from what we are using. So that's how our journey in cloud started. And I think we were able to do the entire journey in a span of 1 year. So from entirely our own in-house in-prem infrastructure to totally, I would say 95% cloud, we were able to reach in 1 year. So that was a key thing. That was a interesting development. And I would say that we were kind of early adopters there. Being early adopters, we were entrenched into the initial cloud that we tried out with. So that's how we continued to do our journey. So in a sense, the fact that we adopted it early gave the advantage for us to understand and look at the way the services, the offerings of the clouds have started. So in a sense, we are still, though we have done a lot of applications, workloads on a single cloud, we did a few POCs on different other clouds. However, we have not been able to build this multi-cloud expertise within our team, because the single cloud that we were using, that were kind of supporting. However, I am really looking forward to seeing multi-cloud really grow and multi-cloud becoming a natural way for us to embrace.
Thank you. Thank you, Vasant, for the wonderful insight. Like typically cloud gives people agility. What you said is you implemented cloud in agile way within a year, 95% done. Very encouraging to hear. So, now cloud, why you implement cloud? Mainly 2 reasons. One is the hosting data, and then second is the data services. Data services has been picking a lot of pace. Data democratization, data layer, these are being, picking up. I'll go to Prasad, since Prasad mentioned that they have a very clear-cut strategy, what will go where, why they are doing. Prasad, what is your view on cloud enabling the companies and including the logistic industry and yourself on the data democratization? And does it give you mileage? Where are you in the journey, and how do you see this going?
Yeah, so certainly, Anjani, I think cloud has provided, I would say, capabilities which earlier organization would possibly take years to build. So what happens is in this era, data is, we used to say that cash is king. Cash is still king, but I think data is a king and queen and all the control, because you can generate cash out of data. So data, and especially big data, has really become key for business analytics, through which you could derive various inferences about your customers, their behaviors, markets, what's happening in market, what's happening around. And one more important aspect, which actually impacts a lot of companies, but logistics for sure, is the regulatory angle. And governments around world are getting more and more digitalized. They are interacting with businesses through digital platforms. So there is a tons and tons of data exchange happening through digital platforms. And for organizations to believe that by remaining in their traditional design of private clouds or on-prem cloud, they would be able to take mileage, I think, is a misnomer. So we firmly believe that cloud gives you that flexibility, that agility, and also mobility, through which you can fail fast. I think fail fast is a word which is used very often these days. Instead of spending years on developing and implementing a CRM, and after 5 years you found that it was waste of time and effort, I think you want to fail fast. Within 6 months, you want to know whether this will work or not work. And that's where cloud gives you an edge. You don't need to set up anything on your own. Everything is available through your provider. You have technology, you can get people, you can get environment, you can try, pilot out things, you can do POC, and you can actually see what that system will deliver and whether you want it or not. So I think there are a lot of benefits of cloud. Security, I think to a great extent has been taken care of. So those worries are gone. But for us, what we have experienced is cloud has definitely given us agility and mobility to try out new things at a very brisk pace and make decisions based on that, rather than waiting for a few years and then thinking possibly we did something wrong, and in the process waste those precious time. So I think flexibility, agility, mobility is what cloud offers, and that really helps your business to take some key decisions very quickly.
Thank you, Prasad. Flexibility, agility, mobility is given by cloud. Now, how cloud gives, one of the major things which I have myself experienced is you have a lot of tools on public cloud platform, and this is evolving at a very fast pace. I'll go to Vasant again, because he said implemented cloud really well. Vasant, what are the public cloud tools would you want to talk about, which enables you to bring this agility, flexibility, mobility, and a lot of other things, which takes care of the scaling up your platform? I mean, first time I came to know that Funds & Petal is 25-year industry, but the way it is scaling up would be interesting to know your view.
I think that's an interesting question, Anjani. I think if I broadly classify where Funds & Petals has really helped, taken the help of the cloud, was in two areas. One is monitoring the infrastructure in terms of tools and ability to scale. So I think if we really need tools to see how the entire infrastructure, earlier before we went to cloud, it was probably a set of 3, 4, 5, 6 really huge servers, and we had to provision the servers more from the peak point of view, and rest of the time it was all about the entire systems working below the peak. Now with cloud coming in and we provisioning the services, the compute, the storage on an as needed basis, it's very important for us to understand how these things are changing. So a very good set of tools which will help us monitor these changes, dynamic changes that are happening, monitoring the entire infrastructure. So since we were single cloud, we were able to identify tools within our single cloud to see how do we monitor these the entire instances across different types of cloud offerings, whether it be it compute, be it database, be it cache services, be it data streams. So all these areas, how is the system being utilized? Where is the scaling required? So that kind of monitoring is certainly required, and those tools we have been using quite extensively. And additionally, to be able to scale up, I think understanding the compute and especially using a lot of application performance monitoring tools, we are able to identify how do we scale things up, where do we put more money on. So these were the two areas which I believe from an overall tools perspective, where Ferns and Petals have been able to utilize cloud very effectively.
Oh, good. I have a supplementary question, though, Vasant. You talked about that you could monitor the workload. Fantastic point. But do you also use? There are tons and tons of AI, ML, tools out available there, data tools. How extensively do you folks use that?
AI ML, I believe that we are a little slow off the block in terms of adopting it. We already have a customer data platform, CDP, that we have built over a data lake that we have already set up. So in terms of, we right now are using have automated about 7 use cases on top of this customer data platform. However, there are quite a few, a list of around I would say 25 use cases waiting to be built on top of the data that we are collecting, and which are purely AI ML based. And we are also in the midst of a re-platformization, which means that we are trying to slice and dice at the existing platform a lot more to a lot more granular level, which will help us make things a lot more accessible to different business functions. So while that is happening, while that is taking away our focus, we continue to focus on AI ML. And the one area that we are right now building is ability to tag products on the taxonomy part. How do we know that what product is better for what kind of categories? Which bouquet is better for birthday? Which bouquet is good for anniversary? While these are all human decisions that were being taken so long, but we need to be able to build models where we are removing the human element to it, and the system learns to categorize, and it's able to classify things automatically. While there is certainly a human element that's moderating it, but we are looking at in a long term where we have a very less human element in doing activities like this.
Thank you. So this brings up, it would be very interesting to hear the same thought from the consulting company folks. So I will bring Srimati and I'll ask the same question when it comes to data democratization and when it comes to tools which helps companies bring the agility and flexibility on the public cloud. What are your views? What has been your experience, and what are your recommendations, Srimati? Okay.
Maybe I can add a bit on the data democratization part that you were asking.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Right. I think it really has permeated our entire business team in terms of, prior to cloud, getting any insight from the system based on whatever data. First of all, collecting data itself was required a bit of planning, required a specific amount of time to start thinking of how do I store this data, how do I transform and load this data to generate those insights. So that was quite a lengthy process, time-taking. More than lengthy, it was time-taking. Now that cloud has come and we are able to harvest any kind of data, whether it is click streams, whether it is customer interactions, whether it is CRM data, in fact, including the server logs as well. We are seeing a deluge of data on the server. And since cloud is allowing us to harvest all this data and build it, and our business teams know that, they have been able to really ask a lot more detailed questions. Earlier, the reports or questions was more about what was the conversion rate, what was compared to what was conversion rate last year or last week. Right now, we are able to slice and dice these questions more in terms of the cohorts of the individual segments that we are talking about, or we are also talking about slices of the regions where we are. So the amount of drilling down that we are able to do and the business team is able to do has been phenomenal. I think that's one change that I can see because of the advent of the cloud-based data harvesting that we are seeing these days.
Thank you. Very, 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 very interesting view. Mukund, I will. I would want to hear the same thing. I mean, you have seen this in several geographies. The data democratization, data layer is making waves. The cloud is adding tools after tools. If you look at it, every 2 months, 3 months, major cloud providers has an update and a lot of focus. How do you see it going there? And I would also want to know your view. What are the types of tool which you see many customers are moving to say that it would have taken me years to build in premise. Now I can do it really fast.
Sure. So I would say it's been an evolution of sorts, as in when the clouds have, multi-clouds have evolved, how to leverage them well. The tool infrastructure or the tool based management has also evolved in the same way. But ultimately, most customers are looking towards some sort of a single pane of glass view, whether it is an application, the system infrastructure, the data analytics, etc., to sort of bring a better way of management. Because cloud is also something where if you don't manage it well, it's a horse that can run away pretty fast. And I'm sure Vasant and Prasad and teams know it very well. So those tools, whether it is a tool, for example, that we propose to our clients to help them to manage their commercials better, because at the end of the day, all organizations work on a certain bottom line. You need to drive better asset utilization, whether it is in the cloud or on-prem. And these are tools which are directly responsible for doing that. So not just data and insights, which Vasant mentioned, but at the same time, which can help you to really leverage the best. But ultimately, I'll probably want to say this as a comment here. The adoption and the speed in which, let's say, organization adopt tools may not be in the same flexible and agile and mobile way which Prasad this one. So while you have the adoption may not follow the same path of what cloud can actually offer to the organization.
Thanks, Mukund. So cloud is the horse. You have to manage it well. Otherwise, it can run away really fast. I'm going to take it back. Really nice view. Looks like I thought that I saw Srimati back from the cloud. But no, she has gone back to the cloud, looks like.
She must be on cloud 9. She must be on cloud 9.
Yeah. So, Prasad, I will come back to you. So there is a lot of discussion on born analog, cloud native, right? Now, if you look at many of us are born analog companies and moving to, but the way we compete is with a cloud native, and that is where most of the solutions are also going, correct? Now that brings the whole complexity, and you talked about it, like you have all sorts of environment. Now it is not about whether cloud is secure, not secure. That narrative is already gone, right? Some of the securities are better managed in cloud. But when it comes to multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, you have in-premise, security becomes complex, IT security. How do you deal with it? Briefly, if you could summarize it in the security points, it would be great.
Yes, I think it's a really good point you made, Anjani, about in a multi-cloud or a hybrid cloud model, how to take care of security. To be honest, I don't have a silver bullet, because as I said, our adoption of multi-cloud also started just a couple of years back. But the advantage we had is we already had a well-established internal security team, and we had good global partners, because being a global organization, we cannot manage it on our own, and we need to have global security partners onboarded with us. So I think before moving on to multi-cloud or hybrid cloud, we ourselves had deployed a lot of security measures and controls onto our own private cloud to make sure that we take care of our customers as well as our employees' interest. I think those learnings helped. So the point that burn analog completely and move on to cloud possibly may not be the brightest idea, especially not for organizations like us, because we have been on analog for so long. So we require a transition. So we have a saying, we have a motto internally in our organization. We say cloud or digitalization is a journey of evolution and not revolution. Because for large organizations like us, there are so much of complexities that you can't just switch over overnight. So you have to take care of security, you have to take care of transition, and it's important that you have a team of expert. The challenge of talent, what Mukund mentioned earlier. So we had developed expertise internally in terms of cloud security, and people who had experience in working with multi and hybrid clouds. So we had onboarded some of those people into our regional and global teams, because we realized internally we do not have that level of a skill set, because traditionally we have been an on-prem company. So it all starts with having the expertise. Either you train your people on that. We found it's going to take some time for that. So the best way was you resource, you gear up by two ways: getting few people on board as your own employees, FTEs as we call them, plus partnering with some of the partners. It can be the cloud partners, so that they can help you build security, what your internal teams are not able to see, because you have been operating in on your own environment for so long. You also need an external view, and that's where the cloud providers can also bring in their own experience. So as I said, there's no silver bullet, but it's a built up. We are also quite young into this overall cloud and multi-cloud and hybrid cloud journey. I wouldn't claim that we are the experts and we have solved all our issues, but I think it's only going to get better going forward. We are getting our people skilled, internal teams, not only the team which is managing the cloud infra or the security team, but your DevOps team, your tech support team, all of them also needs to be reskilled, because that's when you will able to leverage the potential of the cloud. And if these people do not have enough security knowledge on how cloud operates, or how the applications which are supposed to be put on cloud, you would still end up leaving some gaps. So I think getting external help in terms of security experts, onboarding cloud experts, and also reskilling our people in terms of cloud environment and cloud security are some of the steps which we have taken so far. And we hope that this will help in our cloud transformation journey in next couple of years.
Thank you, Prasad. Really insightful on cloud security. We don't have Srimati is still in the cloud, so let's get into. I would just want to, now we have reached to almost fag end of the time. So just 1 minute for each of you, if you could just give us, or 30 seconds, I would say, that how would you conclude what's the future you see from your perspective? And I'll go with start with Mukund.
So to me, adopting cloud is not a technology step. It is a cultural step. Technology can get the best of applications or tools or the most agile and flexible system. But if you don't have an organization which is tuned towards adopting the same principles from top to bottom, and have measurement mechanisms which are in line with this rather than age-old ways of functioning, cloud will remain a myth and not a reality. And those who adopted it have really got the fruits of that in the last 18 months. And that's the proof of the pudding.
Okay, so what you are saying is it is thinking and cultural change. Otherwise, it's not going to go anywhere. Very nice point. I don't know if Srimati is, I see Srimati. Srimati, could you hear us? No. Okay, she is having technology challenges. Vasant, what's your view on the future? Really short.
Right. I think as far as multi-cloud is concerned, I really have two things I would want to see. One is total cost of ownership. I think though in general, cloud has reduced the cost of operating, but the total cost of ownership is still not under control. So I want to see total cost of ownership of operating on cloud to go down still further. So that's one thing I'm looking at. The second thing is, in order to embrace multi-cloud, I think inter-cloud interoperability has to be there. I need to be able to think of using one cloud the same as in terms of planning and adopting as the other one. So unless there are standards that are built that come out where choosing a cloud provider is a business decision, whereas from a tech implementation point of view, if 90-95% is the same, I think that will really enhance the multi-cloud use case and will make things much better for players like us.
Good. Thank you. Good view. Prasad, any closing comment?
Yeah, I think one thing is clear. Cloud is future. So definitely you cannot ignore it. You have to adopt it. The pace of adoption depends upon the organization and the capability of organization, the appetite of organization, and also the talent and skill set, what Mukund referred to. So there are a lot of things which the adoption rate depends on. Our personal, as I said, philosophy has been evolution. So for us, the cloud journey is more like evolution and not a revolution of completely changing things overnight. So our view is possibly, mindset change will drive cloud adoption, as Mukund mentioned. So people and processes, lead to technology success. Technology on its own cannot, deliver you results overnight, not in all cases. So for what we say is PPT, people, process, technology. That is a key mantra for anything. And I think that applies to cloud transformation also.
Thank you. Thank you, Prasad. So, ladies and gentlemen, it has been very interesting discussion. Even though Srimati had some technical challenges, we could not hear all her views, but definitely, so where we are going is hybrid cloud happened by accident. Data is not king, not queen. Data is ace. Then we are saying, Fauns & Petal is not just a startup, it's a 25-year-old company. It has been learning for myself and how they have scaled up using the cloud. Srimati bringing the view of how cloud has changed from not secure to now business solution, right? So a very, very interesting viewpoint. Really appreciate it. I would like to thank you all for having this interesting panel discussion, and I am sure people will love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anjali, for having us.
Thank you, Anjali. Thank you, Vasan. Thank you, Mukund. Thank you, Srimati. It was a pleasure talking to you all. Great discussion.
Thank you so much.